Welcome to the Reese Report. I'm the mouth of the North, Andrew Reese. And after a short break, after an embarrassment of a Raptors season, I am back with my boys, Jose, Carlos Gomes, and Tony Barbosa. And because the Raptors had such a pathetic season and gave me a lot of pain and a lot of horrible shows that I had to do talking about that team, we are now going to talk about the NHL and the NHL playoffs, which are good every single year and have a pretty much wide open Stanley Cup playoffs coming up. Just about anyone can win the cup. It's one of the more interesting, playoffs I've seen in a long time. I think anyone outside of maybe one team can win the cup, Capitals, and we're here to make some picks for you to try to sort it out. We'll also give you our Stanley Cup picks and who we think will win the Conn Smythe. Jose and Tony, are you ready to go?
Let's go. Let's do it. This is going to be a tough first round,
This
I think, this year. This year going to be
this
a tough first round.
That is
So
why we're doing this, guys.
it's
The
going to be
first round
very
is always
exciting,
the
though.
toughest.
Got
Yep,
some good games.
first round's always the toughest. There's always upsets, and this is where, a lot of times you'll get a surprise Stanley Cup finalist. So that's why we did the show today. We wanted to see how interesting this can get. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Let us know what you think. This is our first NHL show of the year. I plan to do more next year, depending on how things go and how the show expands. But let's do the playoffs for now. We are going to start with, and I'm going to try to do this in order by how the games are starting. We'll start with the Islanders, who, behind Patrick Waugh, got into the playoffs. Great job, Patrick Waugh. They also got in there with Simeon Varlamov starting for them over Elias Sorokin as the crazy goaltending carousel for each team continues. No names of note, but the Islanders found a way and they got in. They got in over my Penguins by a point, who didn't deserve to be in anyway. They're going to take on the Carolina Hurricanes, who traded for Jake Gensel and have been very, very good since Frederik Andersen returned to the lineup. I'll start with Barbosa. Who do you have in this series?
Yeah, the Islanders have been playing well since they made the coaching change. Carolina, ever since they picked up Gansel and Kuznetsov, I've been playing pretty good hockey. But I think it's going to be a tough series. I think it's going to be a 7-game series, and I think Carolina will pull it off. I just think they have more up-end talent than the Islanders. So I'm going to go with Carolina, but it's going to be 7 games because the Islanders will give them headaches with the defensive play. That's for sure.
Jose, who do you got in this series?
I got the Canes in this series. I just think the Canes are a better overall team. They were solid defensively already. Now they ended up adding some scoring touch that they needed to play with the Aho and up front and stuff like that. So I think this year the Canes are going to go for a deep playoff run unless Frederik Andersen gets hurt. I think he's a key player on that team. With him in net, they'll do well. But I don't think if he ended up getting hurt, then I think they're going to be in trouble. He's a little bit injury prone lately too. Like he's got a lot of injuries and stuff. So, but in saying that, I think they should have no problem beating the Islanders in the first round. I don't think this one's going to go to 7. I think this one's going to go probably, if most, maybe Islanders win 1 game or 2 the most. But I think Canes should handle this one easily. So I'm taking the Canes.
Yeah, I got the Canes. The Gensel trade did them a lot of good. He was very, very good for them after the trade. Anderson has not lost much since he came back from his blood clot injury. They certainly have some motivation to play hard for him. They're a hard-working team that lack goal scoring. Jake Gensel is one of the best playoff players in the NHL when they've made the playoffs. So I think Carolina gets by the Islanders probably in 6 games. The Islanders are always a very tough team to knock out no matter what year they're in. So I'm going to say it's at least 6, but Carolina goes through. Now let's get to I want to do this series last, but since it is the Saturday nighter tomorrow, we're going to go in order. the Toronto Maple Leafs, who ended the season losing 4 in a row, but not really giving a damn other than getting Matthews' 70th goal. They failed to get his 70th goal. He ended up with 69. They go to Boston once again to take on the Bruins in the first round. In what looked like Boston, who seemed to tank the last 2 games of the season to play the Leafs, which is interesting because they beat my Penguins to knock them out of the playoffs 2 games before that. So very interesting. The Leafs are what they are. They have a little more toughness this year. I like their first line of Bertuzzi, Domi, and Matthews. Boston has, I believe, 10 goal scorers or higher this year. They're very well balanced. Their goaltending is a question mark, even though it's good in the regular season. They got a great defense. I'll go to the 2 Leaf fans first. Let's start with Jose. Are the Leafs going to choke again in the first round, or are they finally going to get past the monster that is the Bruins?
Listen, man, I've said this, and I'm going to continue saying this. The Leafs will not go anywhere in the playoffs without getting a half decent goaltender and a shut down defenseman, number one defenseman. In saying that, I still think they have a better team than the Bruins. I think the Bruins are weak defensively. They have a better goaltending than the Leafs, 100%. Swayman and Olmark are way better goalies than the Leafs have. That's the only thing that's gonna keep them alive in the series is their goaltending. I think offensively, the Leafs and the Bruins are. I think the Leafs are more deeper now since they added Domi and Matthews to the first line. So now you can bring Nylander to the third line. He adds an extra scoring depth, and he's been a good playoff player in the last years. This opens up the Leafs' first line, the second line as well. So they can't just key in on Marner and Matthews anymore. They're gonna have to get the defensemen. One offensive line is gonna get a better chance of scoring more goals. So if it's Nylander playing the third line, then so be it. But I think the Leafs will win this series. I think the Leafs will pull off like last year a miracle. They'll get outplayed every single game, but they'll end up pulling off some wins here and there, and I think they'll win this series. So I'm taking the Leafs.
Who do you got?
It is going to be a tough series. I think Sheldon Keefe is going to set the tone right off the first shift.
Well, his job's on the line, no question.
I have a feeling that first shift, he's going to send out Matthews, Domi, and I think he's going to send out Ryan Reeves to start that first shift. Reeves is not going to be playing on the first line. That's not what I'm saying. But that first shift to get the series going, to saying that the Leafs are not the same as the Leafs before that you're not going to mess with, we're a little bit tougher. He's going to set the tone early. He's going to want to set a tone early. I think Bobby McMahon might be a bit of a loss because he's been playing well 5-on-5. And I agree with Jose.
Nylander might be hurt too, Barbosa.
Yeah, but I heard he's coming. I heard he's going to be playing. I heard he's going to be playing tomorrow. The X factor for the Leafs is going to be Robertson. He's going to have to do some scoring for the Leafs to have any success.
Not nice, eh? Interesting.
I think the better goal scorer is Robertson, though. If you look at it, the better player is Nice. Don't get me wrong. He's the better player. Better goal scorer is Robertson. They're going to need a little bit from him. Hopefully Bertuzzi and Domi can keep it going, and like they have in the second half of the season. He's been playing well with Matthews down the stretch. And like Jose said, we have the better talent. Leafs are the better talented team. It's just the defense going to have to play a little bit tough. The defense is going to have to really show, especially Labushkin and Edmondson. There's a reason why Trey Leaving brought those guys here is to add some toughness to that blue line. I'm gonna take the Leafs in 6.
Okay. I watched these two teams play when the Leafs were at their absolute hottest and at their absolute best, and the Bruins dusted them 4-1 in back-to-back games. Um, I just, until I see it, I'm not going to believe it. The Bruins do have the better goaltending, but they're not proven in the playoffs. I believe they have the better defense because the Leafs defense, if you've watched the Leafs all year long, this is the same defense that's giving away the puck, getting out muscled and doing stupid things in their own zone, giving away the puck. That hasn't changed at all. They have the better offense for sure with the four guys and then the depth around the offense. Power plays could be a huge factor here. The Leafs have the
Special
third
teams.
or fourth ranked power play. I think Boston's near the top. So whoever's more disciplined is going to win this series. And that's why I don't like what you said, Barbosa. Sending Reeves out there in the first shift ain't going to do nothing. They did
Doesn't
this
matter.
last time with Kyle Clifford. He gets a 5-minute major, it changes the series. So I
He's
just
not
put
Kyle
Bertuzzi and
Clifford.
Domi out there. No, but
He's not Kyle
just put,
Clifford.
well, he's going to
He's a
play
little
7
bit
minutes a
smarter
game.
than that.
He's going
He's
to
a
play
little
7
bit
minutes a
smarter than
game,
that.
Barbosa.
You just
Right?
set the tone. You
Well,
got to
set it
set
with
the tone
Bertuzzi
early.
and Domi. Set it with Bertuzzi and Domi. You don't need to put
You
Reeves out there.
you put Reeves out there. You set the tone early. I'm not saying he has to fight somebody right off the bat. Just throw a hit, a nice big hit. Show him that if you guys want to play dirty, we'll also play dirty. That's it. That's all.
I think if
Nothing,
the Leafs want to win this series, they're going to have to outplay the
100%.
Bruins. I don't think it's going to be we're going to outmuscle the Bruins. I don't think that's the way to beat them. I think the Leafs have got to beat them with their skill, and that's how they're going to win this series. Now, if Reeves wants to go out there and send a message, if there's a Marchand incident or something like that, sure. Or a defenseman doing something stupid, sure. But I think the Leafs, if they want to win this series, they're going to have to outplay the Bruins. They
Oh, for sure.
haven't done that all season, and I'm not counting on it now in the playoffs. So I'll take the Bruins in 6. It will be a close series. I'm not saying the Leafs don't have a chance, but I think the Bruins win the series, and the Leafs then make major changes in the offseason, starting with the firing of Sheldon Keefe. So that's what I think will happen in that series. If the Leafs do win, they get Florida, and we'll talk about that when that happens. But we haven't gotten to that series yet, so maybe someone's taken an upset there, which very well could happen. So let's get to that series. The Tampa Bay Lightning, who boasts the NHL's leading scorer in Nikita Kucherov, who became the 5th player in NHL history to get 100 assists in a season. He's one of the Hart favorites. Point had 40 goals. Stamkos had 40 goals. They have their defensive depth. And they have Vasilevsky. So Tampa Bay is always dangerous. They are just sleeping along there in the season. They had the number 1 power play in the NHL, but they're taking on a Florida team that is just they're playoff ready. They have a great goaltender, Bobrovsky, who carried his playoff form into the regular season, getting 7 shutouts this year. Their defense is solid. And they have really good scoring depth in Florida as well. Adding Vladimir Tarasenko at the deadline has worked out. He's been very good for them. And so this is going to be a very interesting series. I'll start this one off. I'm going to take the Panthers. I think this is a revenge series for Florida. A couple of years ago, Florida got swept by Tampa Bay when they were the leading team in the Eastern Conference. And this is after Florida had beaten Washington in the first round. I think Florida has to get over this hump, like the Leafs have to get over the Bruins hump. And so Florida needs to beat them if they want to go to the Cup final. I think Florida will win the series. It will be a tight series. There's no question about it. Again, discipline will come into play because Tampa Bay's power play is deadly. If you let them go on the power play, they're going to beat you. So we'll see if the hotheads in Florida can keep their heads. But I think that Bobrovsky will win this battle slightly over Vasilevsky, who's been not as good as him this year. But boy, oh boy, is this going to be a tight series. But I'll take Florida in 7 and maybe even an overtime, but by a goal in game 7. I'll take Florida to win this series. I'll let you go next, Barbosa. Who do you got in this one?
It is going to be a tough series. I think it will go the distance. They're both really good. They're really good teams. 2 very good goaltenders. I think I'd give the edge to Vasilevsky. He's been there. He's He's got the cups. He's got the pedigree. Bobrovsky doesn't.
You certainly did last year.
Bobrovsky is known to, if Tampa gets to him, he's known to let it get to him. And Florida's got to stay disciplined. Florida's got to stay disciplined. I don't think they will be able to throw out the whole series. I think that's going to be their downfall, and that's why I think I'm going to take Tampa in 7, because their downfall is going to be trying to do stuff after the whistle, and they're going to take stupid penalties, and Tampa will just make them pay.
Jose, who do you got?
Listen, this is an easy one, man. The Panthers will win this series. It's not even going to go to 7. I think if they just stay disciplined, Tampa Bay doesn't do anything 5-on-5. They're more of a power play unit. 5-on-5, they're weak. They don't have a lot of scoring depth. Like they don't have that. They only have that main first line, and if you Kucherov's points are on the power play. More than half of his points are all on the power play. So, like I said, if Panthers stay disciplined, well, I know Maurice will keep him disciplined because he's a hard disciplined coach. I think this series doesn't even go 7. I think they can even probably sweep them, or even 5 games the most. So I'm taking the Panthers.
All right. I do agree with you that if Florida's disciplined, they win the series, because I think Tampa Bay's only chances if they get power plays. I do agree with that. Florida's the better 5-on-5 team. And I'll be honest with you, Bobrovsky's been better than Vasilevsky the last 2 years. He has. I don't know if that's the back injury. I don't know if that's the way Tampa Bay plays. But if you look at their stats and the way they play, Bobrovsky's been the better goalie. So,
and their defense, obviously, Tampa's defense hasn't been that great ever since.
Well, Sergachev
ever since they lost McDonough,
right?
Ever since they lost McDonough.
Yeah, but Sergachev's missed the whole year too, right? He's out for the first round of the playoffs. That really hurts when you lose Sergachev and McDonough. Like you got only Hedman out there with a bunch of kids, so like that's where Tampa Bay is really hurting, and you can beat them scoring a lot of goals. So I think Florida's going to win this series. I agree with Jose. I just think it'll be closer because Tampa Bay has that cup experience and they have those goal scorers, and there's going to be power plays. And boy, oh boy, you got Stamkos and Kucherov on each side. They're going to score goals. So we'll see what happens though. Yeah, and point. Like that power play is just vicious. And if they get power plays, which they probably will, they'll probably win a couple of games. But we'll see what happens. Now let's get to, well, I'm not going to waste too much time on the series. The Washington Capitals, who were one of 4 teams that had a chance to get in, including the Flyers, my Penguins, and the Islanders, and the Red Wings. They all had a chance to get in. The Penguins lost a crucial game to Boston. Washington won in Detroit, and that put Washington ahead by a point and set them up to beat the Flyers, who lost, 6 or 7 in a row to end the season. And that allowed Washington to sneak in. The Rangers are the best team in the NHL. I can't believe I'm saying that. Nobody ever talks about this team. They've got Terry Panarin with 120 points. Nobody cares because there's 3 other guys with 140 points. Their next best guy is Vincent Trocheck at 77 points. Shout out to Matty Molo, who won another pool this year, drafting these kind of guys. They got Adam Fox, who's a Norris candidate, Keandre Miller, and Igor Annett. And if Igor goes down, they got Jonathan Quick, who's been great for them as a backup with Stanley Cup experience. Having said that, because nobody's talking about the Rangers, there's no pressure on them. I think the Rangers are going to win this series easy. They're going to move on. Nobody's going to talk about it. No one's going to think they're going to win. 4 other teams will be picked over them to win the cup, and they'll surprise everybody. So I got the Rangers winning this. I think they're going to sweep the Caps. I think the Caps are terrible. Lindgren could steal a game for them, as he was very good to end the season. But the Capitals are not a good hockey team. And unless Ovechkin gets some power play goals, they're not winning this series. They're not coming close to winning this series. This is my beatdown. But the Rangers have trouble scoring goals sometimes. So maybe Washington sneaks out a 2-1 win. They play defensive, something like that. But 4 or 5 games for the Rangers. Jose.
I agree with you. I think this is going to be a beatdown. The only way that they're going to stay in, Capitals are going to stay in the series is if Lindgren steals them a game. Like you said, he was one of the hottest goalies down the stretch. Him and the Pittsburgh goalie were like down the stretch of winning a bunch of games. But the Rangers should have no problem beating these guys, probably sweeping them, even like the most maybe like 5 games. The Rangers should easily win the series.
Barbosa.
I agree with you guys. I think it's going to be a 5-game. Washington will squeak out one game. They'll find a way to squeak out one, but that's about it. The Rangers are the better team, way better team, top to bottom. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Panarin's is a beast. Zibanejad's another player. Adam Fox, and like you
They
said,
got a lot of depth on that team. Even Lafreniere had a really
yeah,
good year for them. Like
yeah,
they got a lot of depth on that team.
Lafreniere took a step forward. And like you said, if Shesterkin somehow has a bad game, you got Jonathan Quick back there, and he's been amazing for them this year. So Rangers in 5. Rangers in 5.
Yeah. The Capitals are I don't think they're the worst, but they're one of the worst teams to ever make the playoffs. They are a minus 43 goal differential.
They have the worst goal differential on a playoff team since 1991 or something.
Yeah, this is a very bad team that made the playoffs. Yeah. And they in the West, there would have been 4 other teams that finished ahead of them, I think. So they just got lucky, but that's how it goes. We'll see. Stranger things have happened. The Habs went to beat the Leafs as the worst playoff team ever, so you never know. Now we get to a series that I just love this series. Colorado, who has been good, but has had goaltending and defense issues all season, has had to outscore a lot of opponents, which has led to career years from Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar and Mikko Rantanen. They still have good depth on their team. Their defense is supposed to be good, has been kind of disappointing. Gorgia has been kind of average all year. They've blown a lot of big leads this year in the regular season. They go to take on a Jets team that's like the Rangers. Nobody's talking about them. They've got a Vezina Hart candidate in Connor Hellebuyck. They have a very structured defense, and they're very deep at forward. They don't have an outstanding superstar there, but they have very good depth at forward across 3 lines. They, at the regular season, went to Dallas, who leads the West, and went to Colorado and shut them both out 10-0. Having said that, I have the Jets upsetting the Colorado Avalanche. I really like this Jets team a lot. I think that goaltending will be the difference, and I think Winnipeg will learn from their 5-game loss to Vegas last year. Rick Bowness is a really good coach. I think Colorado for the second straight year is going to get upset in the first round. Seattle did it to them last year somehow with no goaltending. I think Colorado's in a lot of trouble against Connor Hellebuyck. Barbosa, what do you got?
Who's Colorado's starting goalie going to be? Did they say?
Gorgiev.
Nah, I got Winnipeg. Hellebuyck is back to being Hellebuyck. Last year was a year he wasn't himself. And like you said, the Jets' depth at forward is pretty good, especially with the additions of Toffoli and what's his
and
face?
Sean Monahan. Sean Monahan's been excellent for them.
And Monahan, they've been excellent pickups for them. They fit really nice on that team. Their defense is pretty good, plays well in front of them. So I'm gonna say the Jets in 6.
Yeah, I think the Jets finish it at home too in 6 games because I think they open up. Is it in Winnipeg first, or is it in Colorado first?
I think it's in Winnipeg.
It's in Winnipeg. Winnipeg has the home ice, so yeah, maybe 6. Jose, what do you got?
I'm gonna take the Avalanche. I just think they have the best player in this series, probably the 2 best players in the series.
3 best.
I think McKinnon will will them over in this series. They'll outscore the Jets. Jets are more of a defensive team, but if they got nice pickups during the trade deadline, but sometimes they struggle to score a lot of goals too. So if it goes into a track meet of scoring goals, I would rather take the Avalanche. Georgiev, he's on and off. He can play. He plays well. Sometimes he has bad games. But I got to go with the best players in the series. So I'm picking the Avalanche to win the series.
The Jets ended the season winning 8 straight games, including 3-0 shutouts over Dallas and 7-0 over Colorado. That significantly changed my mind about the Jets. But hey, Colorado can win this series, and I don't blame Jose for taking them. But that to me is the best series in the first round. That Colorado Winnipeg series. Maybe you can tell me if there's a different one. I really like that series though. That'll be the late series I stay up for. But if you have another series, I guess you can say it now, although we may not have gotten to it yet. The Leafs Bruins series will be great too, obviously.
That's going to be the best series.
Well, there you go. Yeah, we're getting
Which
to
one?
that one. Stars Vegas, we're getting to that one.
No, I would say Edmonton, LA.
Okay. We'll see. Well, we're going to get to that right now. Well, let's start with Nashville first. If you asked me if I asked you guys who the hottest team in the NHL was in the second half of the season, would you have guessed the Nashville Predators? Probably not, but they were the best team in the NHL after the All-Star break. They went a 21-game stretch without losing a point. So they went 17-0-4 at one point. Ryan O'Reilly looks like he made the right decision, as did Luke Shen. Saros is back in form. They're doing it by committee. Andrew Brunette's got their offense humming. Roman Yossi's back to being a Norris candidate. I don't know how they're doing it, but they have the right parts in the right places. And now they got to go take on a Canucks team led by Rick Tocchet, who has completely found their game. JT Miller, who I expected to have a big year, but not 100 points, had the best year of his career. Brock Besser absolutely exploded. Elias Pettersson did his thing. And Thatcher Demko, another Matty pick, had the best year of his life. And Quentin Hughes also had a career year. Vancouver's got everybody going. I liked what Nashville did at the end of the season. I typically like to take teams that are hot like that at the end. But I think Vancouver is just they've played so well this year, and they've got that goalie, and their power play's vicious. I just think the Canucks with Rick Tocchet coaching are going to win this series. This one I think will go 6. I'll take the Canucks in 6. Jose, what do you got?
I like the Canucks. I think with Demko back and healthy, I think he'll shut it back down. They have good offense to score goals. Predators are more of a trap team type of team. They're very defensively, and they just hit you on the counters and stuff like that. But it's going to be a good tough series for the Canucks. But I still think the Canucks should win this series. I'll say maybe. So yeah, I agree with you. Maybe 6 games they'll take the series. Predators will win a couple of games here and there, but yeah, Canucks. I like the Canucks. They have a good team, especially with the up front with Pettersson and JT Miller and Besser and all those guys. So they'll put up the goal in these series.
Shout out to Philip Forsberg, who had a 46-goal, 94-point season. Unbelievable. You're now a superstar. I should have mentioned you in my build up there. Barbosa, what do you have?
I agree with you guys. I get Vancouver. They probably have the three best players out of the top 4 players in the
Their
series.
power play was as vicious as Tampa Bay's this year.
Quentin Hughes is that guy's sick. That guy's just sick defenseman.
Probably the Norris winner this year. He's probably the Norris winner. I
probably
can't imagine. Yeah, it'll probably
and like you said, Demko is playing well this year. So I'm gonna take, and plus Rick Tocchet as a coach in the playoffs. I'm gonna take Vancouver in 6.
Yeah, that Tocchet has done an excellent job with them. I mean, completely turned them around, made them a more defensively responsible team. Completely,
they're buying into a system.
I mean, yeah, Vancouver is a dangerous team. The whole West is tricky to call here, but we got Vancouver in that series. Now let's get to the most interesting series according to these two men, and that's the Vegas Golden Knights playing the Dallas Stars. Vegas tanked their last game of the season to play Dallas. I find that very, very interesting. They played the Ducks at home, and they lost on purpose to the Ducks to avoid the Oilers and play Dallas. I find that very, very interesting. Dallas has been great all year. Solid. up and down the lineup. They have a Norris candidate in Heiskanen. They have Ottinger and net, who's been good for them for 3 years now. Veterans all across. They have Ben and Pavelski, and then they got young guys like Robertson, who disappointed Barbosa this year, but is still a really good player. Rupe Hintz, they're up and down, a very, very good team, but nobody talks about them. Vegas, they get talked about all year, taking advantage of the salary cap. Are probably going to get Mark Stone back. Also have Hurdle in the lineup. Hurdle. 4 lines, solid, wicked defense, and goaltending that just gets it done. You don't know their names, but they get it done. I can't go against the champs, guys. I'm going to take Vegas. I really like that Dallas team, but I think Vegas is going to win this series. I'll take them in 6. Barbosa?
I can't bet against that defense. That defense is way too tough.
I can't do it.
It's way too tough. They pound you, man. I can't. I gotta go with Vegas because, especially the additions of Thomas Hurdle and getting Mark Stone back. Mark Stone will play. He was practicing for a week now, and they said he could have played the last couple of games if he wanted to. It's just Vegas took advantage of this the LIR
salary cap. Yeah, LIR. Yeah.
So I'm gonna take Vegas. I think it's gonna be 6 games also.
Barbosa. Sorry, Jose.
Yeah, this is my upset pick. It's not an upset, but I'm taking Vegas as well. I just think Vegas, with getting Stone back, with Hannafin back there, with Peter Angelo, with all those defensemen that they have, Aiden Hill, if he can play as good as he did last year, or even Logan Thompson, whoever you want to throw in net, those guys they can all.
With that defense, Jose could be the goalie.
No kidding. I was going to say, with that defense, Gil Santos and George Jose Gomes can go in net.
That's right.
Adding the Hurdle and with Jack Eichel already there, and Carlson and Marcia. So I think Vegas is going to win the series.
They're so loaded. I know you're shaking your head, Barbosa. They're just
that's what I'm saying.
They're taking advantage, right? That's it.
Yeah.
That's the rules. No cap in the playoffs. Go ahead, Jose. Finish your thought there.
No, I just think Dallas will keep. I think we'll probably go. This is another 6-7 game series.
Yeah,
Dallas in a couple of games here and there too. They also have a good team. I think Vegas. They're made for that. Team's made for the playoffs with that defense and like players up strong, like power forwards that they have, like Stones and Marshall. So guys that are grinders, but that can score easily in the playoffs. So that team's dangerous. I'm taking Vegas.
All right, so we have one more series, and then we're going to give you our Cup and Conn Smythe picks as well. But we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back on the Reese Report with the Kings and the Oilers. Will Connor McDavid finally get his Stanley Cup? Stay tuned. All right, guys, welcome back to the Reese Report. We just took a little bit of a break, and now we're going to get to the ultimate question in the playoffs. Will Connor McDavid win his first Stanley Cup with a new and improved Edmonton Oilers team with a new coach? They start their trek by once again taking on the LA Kings. I think this is 3 years in a row they faced the Kings in the first round. The Kings got off to a really hot start and then really, really fell off the map in the second half of the season. Edmonton got off to a terrible start and exploded after the coaching change, at one point winning 15 in a row, I believe, after the coaching change. McDavid decided he wanted to, instead of scoring 64 goals, get 100 assists. He became the 4th ever player to do that, joining Gretzky, Orr, and Lemieux. Draisaitl had a huge season. Kucherov obviously joined the list after. Bouchard had a career year on defense with the Oilers, not surprising on that power play with 81 points, was also really good defensively. Ekholm really helped him. Stuart Skinner established himself as the starter, as Jack Campbell was sent to the minors in buried there somewhere. So the Kings have Talbot. They have their old vets. They've got a Dubois, who is disappointed again, but is a decent playoff player. The Kings made some decisions that may hurt them in the future. But this is the series that we've seen. It's gone 7, it's gone 6. But let's see who you got. Jose, we'll start with you. Kings and Oilers, third year in a row. Who do you got?
It's gone 6, it's gone 7, and the Oilers have won every single series. So
That's
this is
right.
not gonna change it. I see the Oilers winning this series in 6 and 7 or whatever it's gonna take, but Oilers are gonna win the series. Just have the best player on the ice. Probably two best players on the ice. The Kings, like you said, they struggled down the stretch. They started off good, playing well, and then after they slowed down. I just think their players are too old, man. I mean, besides maybe like Byfield, was it Byfield and
Byfield, Fiala.
And what's his name? Pierre Dubois, whatever his name is. Is that his name? Yeah. Besides those two guys, those are the young guys on the team. There, everybody else is like
Kempe is a good young player too.
Yeah, but
Kempe, the Leaf player. What was the guy from the Leafs?
Trevor Moore still there. Yeah. But they don't have the depth of the Oilers, man. Like they just
Trevor Moore a good player. Come on,
he's one of their best players.
Yeah, but come on, dude. Like that's like a third line, fourth line guy.
Trevor Moore, for the record, had 31 goals and 57 points. He had a really good
exactly.
Season. But again, comparing to the Oilers' depth is really hard.
Exactly. And saying that the Oilers will win this series.
Barbosa.
Well, this is going to be my upset. I got the Kings winning the series.
Oh my God, you have the Kings! Wow.
Yes. You should done McDavid. They got the pieces to do it. Because they still have Kopitar and they still have Danault.
I know. They got Danault. Yeah.
They got Danault. And I think this is where Quinn Byfield is going to take a huge step. That's where this kid's going to turn into a superstar. Is going to be this series. That's the problem with Edmonton. You shut down McDavid. There's nobody else.
I think they have more depth this year, Barbosa, Edmonton.
We'll see. This is when it's going to test their depth down the stretch. And Kopitar, like I said, Danault, he's going to be on McDavid. Danault is going to be shadowing McDavid this whole series. And I don't trust Skinner. I don't trust Skinner in the playoffs. I don't. So
and you trust Cam Talbot?
I trust him a little bit more than Skinner.
And the past 2 years, what's happened to Cam Talbot and everybody else?
I get it. But I don't trust Skinner, not in the playoffs. So McDavid will now win another Stanley Cup.
All right, you got the Kings. I'm going to take the Oilers. I think the Oilers win in 5. The Kings, I really struggled to end the season. I followed the Kings because I had a couple of players. I drafted Doughty and Fiala. They really struggled to score to end the season. Their goaltending really got bad after a really hot start by Talbot. He was not good in the second half of the season. Drew Doughty had a great season. They have a good defensive system in LA, but Edmonton dominated them in the regular season. And Edmonton has more depth this year. They have a guy in Zach Hyman, who the Leafs gave up for nothing, scoring 54 goals for them. If they're going to cover McDavid, he'll tap in the puck. Evander Kane is now on the second line. Like they have more depth.
Don't come with this. The Leafs gave him up for nothing. The Leafs didn't have enough cap to sign him. So don't come.
They didn't offer him a contract at all.
And listen, why would you give Zach Hyman $5.5 million? At the time, why would you give Zach Hyman $5.5 million?
What? The Leafs didn't have that.
Why would you give Zach Hyman $5.5 million? You're telling me if the Leafs had cap space, you would give Zach Hyman $5.5 million?
They didn't have cap space.
They didn't have cap space because Dubas went and signed 4 guys for $44 million. I get it.
Exactly.
But still,
right? Which was dumb, but yeah.
And it's not that they didn't have the money, Jose. You would give Zach Hyman $5.5 million at that time.
Here's the thing, Barbosa. They didn't offer him a contract. That's what
that's okay.
I'm not talking about. They didn't offer him a contract at all. That's why I said they just threw him to the side.
Stuff because anybody can score 50 goals with Connor McDavid tap-ins at the side of the net.
Okay. All right. Okay. If you say so.
Evander Kane comes to the freaking Oilers, then
McDavid has had 35 teammates maybe in his career, and only one's got 54 goals, and that's Zach Hyman. So you guys can make fun of him if you want. Everyone else has had a chance. Evander Kane, who's been a great player in the NHL, didn't come close to scoring 54 goals. Neither did the Nuge or anyone else that's played with him. So you guys can make fun of him if you want. One guy has played on his wing, and one guy's got 54 goals.
Hey, he's been there 3 years. He knows how McDavid plays. He knows how McDavid plays.
So did the other players,
Barbosa. No, they haven't.
54 goals.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't.
Consistently,
hold on. Consistently playing with McDavid. Tell me who. On
Evander Kane. Evander Kane didn't come close to the success.
Half a year. The guy played half a year with Connor McDavid. That's it. He didn't play 3 years with Connor McDavid. He didn't play 3 years with Connor McDavid.
They had multiple draft picks go in there that failed. They had other players go there to play with them that didn't come close to getting 54 goals, not even 20 goals, let alone 54. Some of these guys couldn't score 10 goals playing with McDavid. Jesse Puljujarvi, Kailer Yamamoto didn't score 10 goals playing with McDavid.
Hold on. Why didn't anybody else give Zach Hyman $5 million or even offer him a contract?
Well, Edmonton gave him 5.5.
At the time, why did nobody give him a contract? Why did nobody give him a contract? We don't know that. And you're telling me at the time, we were talking about Zach Hyman was not worth $5.5 million. Everybody was saying that's a hefty contract.
You don't let him go for nothing. You trade him if you don't want to keep him. like they gave him up for nothing. Anyway, he scored 54 goals. My point is that they didn't have a 54 goal scorer playing with McDavid before this season, or the season before that, or the season before that. They also didn't have a defenseman getting 81 points for them, or a Matthias Ekholm who has stabilized their defense. Now, Skinner's been good. I understand, Barbosa, your concerns about Skinner, but he has been good. There is a concern he might get too tired because he's played too much, and their backup's Calvin Pickard. That's a legit concern. But he has been good enough for them to win the amount of games that they have. They've been better playing in front of him because they've changed their system. They're a little bit better defensively now. They're not just trying to outscore teams. I'll take Edmonton in 6 because the Kings are a frisky team that finds a way to win 2 games all the time. But the Oilers win this one, but then the gauntlet in the West continues after that, and we'll see where they go. I'm not sure yet. I'm making my mind up on whether they'll win the cup or not. But this is the best Edmonton team they've had since McDavid has been in Edmonton. So we'll see what happens. But they're better equipped to win the cup this year than they have been in the past. So I'll take the Oilers in this one. Let's go to the final series.
That was the final series.
That was the final series. Okay, so we have our first round picks. We have some upsets. We have some favorites. Now let's go to who we think's going to win the cup. Unfortunately, the second and third rounds start like right away after they end, so we may not have time to do a show. And so we'll give you our cup picks now. Who is in the final, Jose, and who wins the cup this year?
Canes, Vegas.
I like the Canes pick. I do like that pick.
Canes, Vegas, and Vegas wins it, and Aiden Hill's Conn Smythe.
Wow, back-to-back for Vegas, and Aiden Hill wins it. Okay. Barbosa?
Vegas, Rangers.
Vegas Rangers. Okay, and who wins it?
Vegas is going to win the cup. Pietrangelo is getting Conn Smythe.
Back-to-back for Vegas. Wow, you like that stacked roster, right? I have the Panthers going to the final. The West. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. There's so many good teams in the West. Who do I like in the West? I will take the Canucks. I'll take the Canucks. Yeah. The Canucks go to the final to take on the Panthers. Actually, no, I changed my mind. I'm gonna take the Oilers. Florida Oilers. Oilers win it. That's my pick. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I originally had the Oilers, changed it to Vancouver, changed it to Winnipeg, changed it back to Edmonton. Like, guys, I honestly, this is a pick I wish I could make after the first round because it would give me more clarity of what's going to happen in the playoffs. But now that we're picking it before the playoffs, I believed Edmonton was going to win it before the playoffs, so I don't want to change it. I had Florida in the final before the season, don't want to change that. And I think Edmonton's going to win their first Stanley Cup since the Gretzky era. So you guys got Vegas. I know Vegas is good. I'm just surprised it's the 8th seed. They'll be the first 8th seed to win since the Kings. Back in the day when they they upset everybody.
I just think they have their defensive core is solid.
I don't blame you. They got like 6 like legit like ridiculous
Top 4 defensemen. Top 4 defensemen.
Like I've never seen a defense score like this in my life.
And they have the scoring up front. Like you got Eichel that can score. You got Hurdle. They added Hurdle that can score. You had Stone. You have Marchessault, Carlson. Damn, man, just keep going on.
I don't blame you guys. I don't blame you guys one bit. I think Vegas would play the winner of the Winnipeg Colorado series.
No, no,
yeah,
that would be Edmonton.
No,
they played the winner of the Winnipeg Colorado series. Yeah,
right. Yeah.
So if Vegas goes on to play the Jets, that's where I have Vegas possibly losing is to the Jets. Otherwise, I would have took the Jets.
Reese.
Or I would have took Vegas to win the cup.
Reese, and you would think if Edmonton gets by Los Angeles, Vancouver wins, they play each other. You actually think the Oilers would be Vancouver?
That's the trouble I was having. You see how I picked Vancouver first, then Edmonton? That's the series to me that's going to win the Stanley Cup. Edmonton, Vancouver. That's the series. The winner of that series. Let me just say this now so that people understand. The winner of the Edmonton Vegas series and my Vancouver series, in my opinion, wins the cup. I picked Edmonton, but if Vancouver wins that series, I think they win the cup. That's my opinion.
What was the record? Vancouver's record against Edmonton this year? 3-1.
That is a great question. I think
it was 3-1. 3-1.
I did want to look that up. They beat Edmonton 3-1 just before the season ended. I think that was without McDavid, so I don't know if I want to put too much stock into that.
In the beginning, they spanked them. Remember those first few games?
Well, remember, Edmonton was terrible the first 20 games of the season too, right? So how do I judge those games when Edmonton was terrible? They beat Edmonton 5-2 that was the preseason. They beat Edmonton back-to-back, 8-1 and 4-3, but those are the first 2 games of the season. Like Edmonton was terrible until the coaching changed, they were terrible. So it's hard to judge them on those games. They did beat them November 6th, 6-2. So yeah, like I said, the winner of that series is winning the cup. I picked Edmonton, probably should have stuck with Vancouver, but remember that I picked Vancouver first and went to Edmonton and back and forth because that to me, that's the cup winner from that series. But you guys picking Vegas, I don't blame you. That means you have them beating the Jets and then beating the winner of the Edmonton-Vancouver series. So really, really tough, right? You had the Canes, right? Jose, who did you have in the cup final?
Canes.
Barbosa? No, Barbosa.
Oh, I had the Rangers.
Rangers. Okay. So you have the Rangers eventually beating the Leafs in the semis. Or do you have the Leafs winning? Do you have the Leafs beating Florida in the second round? You don't. You don't. So you have Florida playing the Rangers and the Rangers beating Florida.
I don't.
Okay, that's fine.
I told you I picked Tampa. Tampa to win that series.
Sorry. You have Tampa, then losing to the Rangers. Okay, I got you. Okay. All right. Jose, how's Carolina getting through?
Carolina's gonna kill the Islanders, and then they're gonna beat the Rangers. They're gonna beat the Rangers second round, and then they're gonna beat the Panthers in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay, so you guys have the Leafs beating Boston, losing to Florida in round 2. Okay,
I have them losing Florida in round 2.
I don't think anybody's beating Florida to get to. I think Florida.
I have them beating Tampa.
You have Florida losing in the first round, which I guess could happen, but I think Florida's going back to the final. You guys have Vegas as a repeat. I have Florida as a repeat. As far as the Conn Smythe goes, if Edmonton does win the cup, it's going to be Connor McDavid. That would be
No doubt.
my pick. My
Jeez.
pick to win the Conn Smythe. The guy had 34 points in 2 rounds last year. Like he's just ridiculous. I mean, the guy's just now the thing about McDavid will be interesting. Now you guys can say and are probably right about Hyman, right? Here's what I'll say about the Hyman season. McDavid purposely looked for him. Like McDavid was trying to set him up to score 50 goals. That's absolutely true. He had 100 assists because he chose to have 100 assists. Last year he had 64 goals because he chose to score 64 goals. In the playoffs, is he going to turn more into a goal scorer, or is he going to still try to set up Hyman? That's very
He's gonna
interesting.
do what it takes to win the game. Like who?
No, but like Jose,
The
here's my
better
question.
option. It's the
Is
better
the better
option.
option for him in the playoffs to be more of a goal scorer or a setup guy?
It's whatever it takes to win. Like if he's gonna shoot, he has to shoot. If he's not gonna pass it, this is different. Now this is not regular season. Now we don't
That's
care
what I'm
about
saying. It's not regular season, right? Yeah.
This is the playoffs now.
He's going to make the easier play. If the easier play is for him to shoot and score, he's going to shoot and score. If the easier play is for him to find Hyman backdoor, it's Hyman backdoor.
I don't think he's going to be a hundred assist guy in the playoffs. I think he's more of a goal scorer in the playoffs. But we'll see. It depends on how teams defend against him as well, right? Vegas triple teamed him last year. Draisaitl went crazy in the first 2 games. He had a 4-goal game, and then they shut down Draisaitl and they couldn't score, and Vegas just took him out. So we'll see. At the end of the day, you got to knock out the champs. So you guys are right. Who's going to knock out the champs? And it ain't going to be easy with the way that team is constructed. So
it could be Dallas. It could be Dallas.
It could be Dallas. Sure, they're
could
deep
be
too. It could be
Dallas.
Dallas, right? One more question before we go. Will the NHL change the no cap rule in the playoffs after this season? Jose or Tony, you want to take this one? Barbosa, you're angry about it. What do you think? Will they change the rule?
No.
Jose, will they change the rule about long-term injured reserve and no cap in the playoffs?
I think they'll do it for the regular season. I think they'll come up with something for the regular season because that's like sort of a way of cheating type of thing. So you're keeping these on long-term injury, and then all of a sudden in the playoffs they're ready to go. So I think they'll change it for the regular season. I don't think for the playoffs because they've never changed it for the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do it. And technically, in the playoffs, I don't think it doesn't matter about the salary cap. I think it's more for the regular season, so keep it more even.
So that means that
I think
Klingberg and Murray, the Leafs would have to have on the cap this year.
Yeah.
Okay, I see what you mean. Okay,
that'll
make it harder.
Long term, right? Long LIR, you can't because you don't know how long these guys are going to be.
In the playoffs, you have a cap. That's what I'm saying. Instead of no cap.
No, it's not going to happen. There's too much of this at stake. There's too much. I think ownerships no, because there's too much of this at stake.
Jose,
there's a lot of money to be made in the playoffs. There's a lot of money to be made in the playoffs. It's never going to happen.
What were you going to say, Jose? Go ahead. Sorry.
I just think if they like Barbosa said, it's in the playoffs. It's more like you want to get the televised games. You want these games to be with all the best players. You don't during the regular season you don't give a shit, right? If one guy doesn't play in the playoffs, you want to see the best players. You want to see the best on best. Yeah. So
can you imagine having a cap and you can't bring your player back because you have no cap space? Yeah, you're right. I don't think they're going to get rid of the no cap.
I think they're going to crack it down during the season. They're going to probably pay more attention to it, like for teams not like freaking.
You know what I think?
A cap penalty, like a cap penalty.
You know what I think? That could be the thing is, like the NBA or the NFL has the luxury tax. They might incorporate that for LIR contracts.
Right.
I think they might incorporate that.
I'm just surprised there's no cap penalty. Like, okay, Murray misses the season. Like, you take his entire salary off. There should be a cap penalty. Like, okay, you can put him on there, but you can't take the whole salary. You get half or you get a quarter or something like that.
No. His salary still won't count to the salary cap, but they'll pay
I mean Jose's idea, like there would be a tax on putting
like a luxury tax. Like a luxury tax on his LIR, especially if you have LIR contracts.
Yeah. That's what's gonna end up doing. The teams are gonna have to or something.
And let's be honest, you think the Leafs care, you think Vegas cares. Those teams don't care because they have money. They'll pay it.
No, but if there's a cap, they can't
No
add
cap, not a cap.
right,
It's a luxury
right,
tax. The
right,
luxury
right.
tax.
Well,
Well,
I don't
they'll
think the
pay.
NHL do that though.
They'll pay on their contract, and then they won't have, because if it's a hard cap,
Yeah.
the NHL can't. How
Yeah.
can
But
you
dude,
do
The,
that?
the NHL doesn't have the money of the NBA and the NFL. That's why they can't have a
But
luxury
then
tax.
you can have
Exactly.
then you can have these long-term contracts under the salary cap. You can't. How are you gonna put a
It's
team
tough.
together? How
Yeah,
are you
it's
gonna put a
tough
team
in a
together?
hard cap league. It's really, really tough to
Exactly,
do it. I
exactly.
mean,
It will happen.
but
This will happen until they fix the salary cap, or you had a luxury tax to the LIR contracts.
well,
So those players,
the salary cap is about to go up by about $10 million because
yeah, that's fine.
we have a $5 million raise that was going to happen, and now with the
Yeah,
sale of the Arizona Coyotes to Utah, that's
yeah,
another franchise money earning. Like the NHL is making $2 million and another billion on the sale. That means the salary cap's probably going to go up 10 million this season.
yeah. Which
That's
is,
huge.
but you can't see, but that's still the salaries will go up. So you
Well, you'll be
can't
able
have
to add more players too. So,
that.
yeah.
Well, look at the Leafs. They were only able to see, like, that's why you couldn't have Austin Matthews take a game off or any of these guys, because they'll go against the salary cap. They didn't have an extra forward. They wouldn't have an extra forward to field the team, right? So
Well, they
that's
brought
why
up
this word
Robertson, but
salary
they
cap.
were able to bring out Robertson. They were able to bring up guys when they needed them.
Yeah, but what if he gets injured? What if he gets injured? Then you don't have nobody else. That's what I mean about the hard salary cap. When you have a hard salary cap, you can't. You have to have these LIRs. What you can have is have a luxury tax where those LIR contracts they have to pay like 10% or whatever.
Like a penalty,
10%.
10%.
Yeah,
No,
15%
pay the whole,
on
pay the whole
those contracts.
pay the whole contract. You want to
Yeah.
sit out for the regular season and then pay out the whole contract of the player's contract. End of story. Luxury tax.
But then that goes against the salary cap. You can't
No, it
have
doesn't. It's a luxury
No,
tax. It's
what
like
he means is a buyout. He just buy the player's contract out, basically, right? Is that what you mean?
if you're buying out the player's contract for the year or whatever, it's a penalty that you're paying.
No, you're not buying out the contract. What you're doing is
So
you're
in other
paying
words,
tax on it. You're paying like 20%, 30% on
what
the
Jose is
contract.
saying, Barbeau says, force
No,
them to buy out the
but
contract.
you can't pay the full contract because the guy's not playing. You're still not paying. You're not able to pay the full contract. You have to have a luxury tax.
All of a sudden,
You
come
pay-
playoff time, he's ready to play.
Huh?
Come playoff time, he's ready to play.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So exactly. So you gotta
you can't do that. Owners will never
Well, that's
accept
true.
that.
That's true. We're just coming
Owners
up
will
with
never
ideas.
accept that.
But I'll tell you right now,
It'll
Matt
be a
Murray,
luxury
he's
tax.
healthy. I'm telling you right now, Matt Murray's healthy. If he was, they could play him.
Yeah, they put him down in the Marlies. They had him practicing with the Marlies.
So when people cry about Vegas, remember the Leafs did it too. They put
We
$15
started
million
it.
with like
The Leafs started it.
the
The Leafs started with Rob the Island.
So
The Leafs started with Rob the
complain
Island.
about Vegas. I laugh in your face because you guys started.
I didn't complain. Nobody's complaining. I don't know who's complaining about Vegas because the Leafs started it. Rob the Island was the Leafs.
Yep, and then Lupo was gone for 2 years and no one knew why.
The guy that started it is in the Islanders right now. Is Lou
Lamorello. That's right.
That's the guy who started it.
Yep, that's
So,
right. So,
Hey,
I think it's here to stay for now.
hey, if the Leafs were able to take advantage, the Leafs would do the same thing too.
Yeah. I mean, Marner's
Every team
injury
would
came
do
too
it.
late, or they could have done it with Marner, but his injury came after the deadline.
Yeah, every team could have done it. Every team
Yeah.
could have done it.
Yeah.
So,
Now, in fairness to Mark Stone, a lacerated spleen is a serious injury.
yeah, man.
It's like they just got lucky with the timing of it.
Could he played the last 5 games? Yes.
Yes, but they couldn't because of the
Yes.
cap. So there's the
Yes.
penalty, but then you get to bring him in the playoffs. So yeah,
Exactly.
listen,
Well,
it is
team
what
that
it is,
started
man.
with the team that started it all with sitting guys out and then bring him to the playoffs, only to the playoffs, was the Lightning with Kucherov.
Yep. Well, Chicago did it with Patrick Kane as well when they won the cup. Patrick Kane broke
Did
his
they?
wrist. He was eligible to play 3 weeks before the end of the season, and they kept him out to use his cap space on other guys, and they won the cup that year. So Chicago did it. but not to the level of Vegas where it's like 20-30 million dollars of the players are on injured reserve and
Well,
ready
that
to
one,
make
yeah.
these trades. I mean, Hannafin and Hurdle, they're making like $12 million. They had Martinez and Stone who make 13 and a half on injured reserve. So that they spent all that money on the trades. And then they re-signed Hannafin to his huge deal, knowing that they're going to have Martinez gone and one other guy gone, and they can fit Hannafin in. So it's very, very good accounting and very, very good management by Vegas. Look, you can't don't hate the player, hate the game, guys.
Yeah,
Vegas is not
exactly.
doing anything wrong. They're not doing anything wrong,
Exactly.
guys. Um, so that's our show, guys. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. We had a little extra conversation there about the NHL. I'm hoping we can come back if there's enough time in between round two. We'll do another show before round two, and maybe some of our picks will change. Maybe there'll be some upsets. Maybe we'll see what happens. There's an injury or something like that. We'll see. If we can't, though, you have our picks. And you have our Conn Smythe picks and our Stanley Cup picks. Uh, I'm hoping we can do a draft show for the NFL. We'll see if the guys are available. The draft is next week. I know Jose, Gill, and Barbosa are very adept and have their knowledge on the quarterbacks in the draft this year. I'm very curious to get their opinion on who should draft where and how these quarterbacks are. I know there's some people who aren't Caleb Williams fans, some guys that prefer Daniels, some guys who JJ's being talked about. I want to get the guys' opinion before the draft on that. And of course, in the summer we will have the Euro Cup, which Barbosa is already excited about. The European Championship is coming. Italy's in the group of death. They got what they deserved after barely qualifying. Portugal's in the group of easy. They're going to go out 3-0, no problem. And we'll see what happens with France, England, and the other teams, but we will talk about that and make our picks prior to that starting in the summer and prior to before these guys go to Portugal and leave me for the summer. So for the mouth of the North, Andrew Reese, that's Tony Barbosa and Jose Carlos Gomes. We will see you next time on the Reese Report, and hit my music.